Greetings, everyone. TexAgs Rewind. David Nuno here. Fan show. Roy, Hunter, Matt. Hey, guys. I love when OB gets people upset, and we had a lot of that this morning. He did a little article on Arkansas being OurKansas, and apparently some of the media out there were not happy with him, so that's going to be on the Rewind as well. We also went through our Heisman Watch, which we love to do. Thank you for that, by the way. Ryan Swope getting it done. He always gets it done here on Thursdays. He talks about who's going to get it done this upcoming weekend. Aaron Torres takes us around college football. And, gentlemen, what was your favorite part of the show today?
Well, honestly, two things. One, I thought Swope made some great points, just talking about this being Arkansas and the fact he wants it back on campus. And two, Aaron Torres is the guy that's not jumping on the Arkansas bandwagon. Very just clear-minded and just talked about it like a normal human being.
I liked the fan show.
Yeah, the fan show was good. By the way, I got a lot of text messages. What kind of vest are you wearing? They want to know. People are sending. I'll show it to you. They want to know.
It's just a Columbia fleece vest. Don't have it on. Had it on at 7 o'clock this morning when it was 58
He's worn
degrees.
it in studio. Yeah. Go back through the fan show archives.
Well, Gabe wears it too, I think, right? Doesn't Gabe have similar one?
Oh, Gabe will rock the vest. He's got the puffy vest, though.
He's got the puffy vest, like a Seinfeld episode. It is TexAgs Rewind. Olin Buchanan has covered more events than you will ever multiply by 5, okay, internet journalists? And by the way, we're internet journalists too, but with 300 followers compared to Olin's, 17,000, whatever it may be, and countless columns, Austin American Statesman, The Eagle, Yahoo Sports, National Writer, Rivals. You've done it all. So you take your job very serious. And the job of a columnist is to, I don't want to say the job of the columnist. You can answer that for me. But basically, you're going to elicit a response, emotion, by giving facts with good information to back it. And sometimes it isn't the most, usually the most hated person at a paper is the columnist.
Right.
Who's the most popular person at a paper?
The columnist.
There you go.
It's both ways, yeah. Look, I write for a very specific audience. I didn't want to work for the Statesman, and when I worked at Yahoo, you approach it differently. I write for a very specific audience, but of course, other people that aren't Aggies will read it, and some are going to react the way they want to react, and that's fine with me. Yeah, I've always learned a long time ago that if you can touch, like you said, if you can touch an emotion, if you can make somebody laugh or cry or get angry or happy, that's what you want. The worst thing you want is an apathetic reaction. So the kid who I've been doing this job longer than he's been alive, that wonders how I'm published, and that it's what do you say? As a journalist, he just, I don't know, embarrassed or whatever, something like that. Yeah, the fact that he and all of his Arkansas followers and are reacting to my column answers that question of why I do how I'm able to do this job.
By the way, I'm going to go right now because this is what I do. I pick at things, and there's nothing rude I'm about to say, nothing at all. I'm just going to read you from the Arkansas game notes. This is from their game notes, from their PR staff. They're coming off a 45-10 win against Georgia Southern in their first game as a ranked team in 5 years. Let me think about that. First time in 5 years, 10 to 12 games a season. That's a long stretch, OB, without being ranked and coming off a victory in that stretch. I'm trying to think to myself if there's anything in your column that, other than basically pointing that out in an illustrative way, saying you're not Kansas anymore, but what that means is Kansas. How would you describe what Kansas means to A&M in this tone right here?
Well, what Kansas means to A&M?
Well, I'm just saying, like, the comparison is basically they're not. A, it's a play on words, and B,
right. That you're a team that has to be respected now, Arkansas. That Kansas was a team you kind of laughed at for their futility. And in 3 seasons, from 2017 to 19, I believe it was, Kansas won 7 games. Arkansas won 8. Now, they weren't all blowouts. I mean, Kansas took Texas down to, I think Texas beat them on a last-second field goal once. Yep. But you still lost. And the reaction that I'm getting from Arkansas fans, I understand they're really excited because they're having a good year. But the fact is, right now, three wins, you've won more games than you won in both of 2019 and 2018.
Two things can be the
So
same.
did they not know that they sucked?
They weren't good. And by the way, two things can be the same. You can have a lot of respect for an opponent, and I think we both think they're doing a very nice job out there. They have a very nice line, good running game, quarterback's got legs, all the things that you can be excited about. And you can still point out that they have been an underperforming program for the last 5 years.
They were the I wish I could remember the name of the college. They were the Mud Dogs before Bobby Boucher.
You're right.
They were the one. They had. I mean, you got duped on a punt by North Texas, for crying out loud. Remember that play? The guy caught the ball and he didn't fair catch. He just stood there, so all the Arkansas guys stopped, and then he ran past them.
Yes.
I mean, that was your program. You lost. Not only did you lose to Western Kentucky, you lost to Western Kentucky, quarterbacked by the quarterback that you ran off the year before, who was your starting quarterback the year before.
Right.
You ran him off. He went to Western Kentucky, comes back and beats you on a day where your best running back runs for 200 yards, but you only give him the ball like 10 times. I'm going to start number 5, surprisingly enough. I'm going to put Brennan Armstrong, the Virginia quarterback. I don't know if you knew who he was, but he's the nation's leading passer. He threw for 554 yards and 4 touchdowns in a loss last week to North Carolina. He's passed for 1,298 yards and 11 touchdowns so far.
It's pretty darn good.
Yeah. And then number 4, a guy that doesn't have those kind of numbers, but when I watch him, I'm really impressed with him, is Jaron Hall, the quarterback from Brigham Young. In 3 games, all against Power 5 teams, albeit Pac-12, but he's passed for 561 yards, 7 touchdowns. He's rushed for 166 yards. Last week, I think they beat Arizona State. He had 214 yards passing and 38 rushing, scored 2 touchdowns passing. So I like him. And now the serious contenders, number 3, I've got Kenneth Walker, the Michigan State running back, nation's leading rusher. Last week, 172 yards on 27 carries against Miami. Overall, 493 yards and 5 touchdowns, averaging 8.6 yards a carry.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah. Number 2, and to me, this is close, but I put Matt Corral, the Ole Miss quarterback, last week, 335 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, and ran for 68 yards and 4 touchdowns in a 61-28 victory over Tulane. And we can say, well, it's just Tulane. Well, Spencer Rattler didn't do that against Tulane. He's completed 66 of 96 passes for 1,006 yards, 9 touchdowns, rushed for 158 yards and 5 touchdowns. And then number 1, still to me, is Bryce Young. Last week, 240 yards passing and 3 touchdowns against Florida. Through 3 games, he's completed 68 of 100 attempts for 804 yards and 10 touchdowns. And the biggest, to me, the division between Young and Corral is Young has played Florida. He's played Miami for what that's worth. Corral's played Louisville.
I'm looking up one guy that I want to bring up to you.
Okay.
Have you heard of Malik Willis?
I have.
The Liberty quarterback.
Liberty.
His coach is
Hugh Freeze.
Right? He's putting up some dynamic numbers. They're taking on Syracuse this weekend. I didn't really know much about him.
Yeah, former Auburn quarterback.
Yeah, he is putting up some numbers out there. They're 3-0. He put, 6 touchdowns, I think, last week in a blowout win. They've won 14 out of 15 games with Hugh Freeze. They are playing some great ball. Not that I think Malik Willis is going to get invited to New York, but just a name to keep up. I believe Mel Kiper recently had him as a potential first-round pick as well for what he did, obviously, at Auburn and what he's doing now. So just a name to put on the back of your radar as things continue on. We'll see how he does against a Syracuse team this weekend, but I just found his story to be very intriguing, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good player. He was a really good player last year. Makes you wonder, what happened at Auburn.
Yep. Swope. So who got it done this past weekend? Who's somebody that just got it done for the Aggies when they took on New Mexico?
Man, I think I'll go with our quarterback here, Calzada. I mean, he got it done. He figured it out, looked just a lot better, whereas he was kind of thrown in that Colorado game and really could never get in a rhythm and was kind of overthrown receivers. And I mean, he's still not – there's still a lot of things that, he needs to work on. But all in all, I walk away from that there's a lot of positive things. He was able to, I think, spread the ball around to 7 or 8 different receivers, which that's always, distributing the ball as many guys as you possibly can. That's always a good thing, getting everybody involved. I thought his deep ball looked really pretty. It's nice seeing a guy catch the ball in stride. So that was a really pretty ball. So all in all, I think that, I think that was a great game to get under his belt. Obviously, he doesn't have a whole lot of time to work with back there. But I think that, those guys, they're all young, and we continue to progress, watch film. I think that moving forward, I think that he's, he did a good job, a good collective win for that offense. And then obviously our defense always takes care of business. They've been fun to watch.
Ryan Swope with us here on the BCSI hotline. All right, Ryan, let's talk about who's going to get it done this weekend against Arkansas. Who's going to get it done?
I'll go with our defense because I think that they've been most consistent, across the board. I think that it goes back to last year. I think that they have what it takes. This has been a really special defense here over the last few years, and they've always got such a great scheme and game plan. And I think that we've just got a lot of playmakers over there, and they can really, and not only that, but a lot of leadership. I think you can see that, and they're having fun and swarming to the football, and that just gives a whole other spark to the offense too. So I'm going with our defense this week, and I hope they continue to play at a high level like they've been.
I don't know what to think, man. Fresno State looks really good. UCLA, for the most part, has looked good. They don't look good against them. We know how good Oregon is. Just break down the Pac-12, which is a big part of what you cover out there.
Yeah, David, I'll just say, the UCLA win over LSU dating back to week 1 was great. I thought it was a little presumptuous and a little bit of a rush to the, UCLA. Chip Kelly now has them in position. Maybe they're that program on the West Coast. And we know how college football works. To really be an elite program, it's something A&M is in the process of right now. Mario Cristobal talked about it after the Ohio State game. You have to stack elite recruiting classes on top of each other. It's what makes Alabama great. It's what makes Ohio State great. It's what Oregon is in the process of doing. And Mario Cristobal said after the Oregon-Ohio State game, we're able to overcome some injuries because of the fact, that we have recruited so well and all that stuff. And so I bring it up with UCLA because I thought they were unquestionably headed in the right direction, even coming into the season. They went 3-4 last year. I was thinking maybe 7-5. After that LSU game, I thought maybe 9-3. But I never thought 11-1 going to the Pac-12 championship game for a spot in the playoff. And so you get a Fresno State team that can sling the ball. Jake Heiner, their quarterback, is a transfer from Washington, former highly rated recruit. So it's not as though the kid can't play. And UCLA, even in their wins, struggled to stop the pass. And so I wasn't surprised by that. And I think UCLA kind of is what they are. They're a solid 9-3 football team. I do think Oregon is really the only playoff contender. And I'll just give you another narrative in the Pac-12 right now. USC, they're going to play hard for this assistant coach. And if you got a chance to watch even a minute of that Washington State game, they have talent all over the field. I think this is history repeating itself for a second or third time. They're going to play well for the interim. I don't think the interim's going to get the full-time job because I think there's real candidates that are going to be, that USC is going to be able to get. But that's a team, I'm telling you, just keep an eye on them. I talked about recruiting. I talked about all this stuff. They're going to be really good this year. And if they get the right coach, I really believe they will be in position to win the Pac-12. They're that talented. But as it pertains to this year, I think it's Oregon and then a big gap with everybody else, except maybe USC, ironically, who we've all kind of written off because of the Clay Helton deal.
This part is the part that I hate doing because it's the same thing every freaking time. What are we supposed to do?
We're supposed to like, share, subscribe, and comment.
And you know what? If you guys become members of TexAgs, which you are, and you become a premium subscriber, you can listen to the entire show. And I think you should do that, right?
All of it.
Yeah,
And the
Yeah,
rewind.
absolutely. And the rewind. I love the rewind too, though. I think it's a great feature. So I'm a huge fan of the rewind.
I made some amazing points today, so you definitely want to hear the entire show.
My third favorite hour today was the fan show. That was probably my third favorite hour.
By the way, why were they whispering earlier?
We got bronze.
It is TexAgs Rewind. Thanks, guys.